And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
Neil writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, hey guys, when Shangy finally goes to prison for corruption, will she enjoy her first conjugal visit?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Actually, I don't think so. Andre never made an honest woman out of her.
That's true. They were living in sin.
Also, I think she's going to cut a deal and isn't going to spend much time in prison.
And he's also in trouble, so he might be going to the big house too.
You know what he's going to do, though? He's going to do a conjugal visit with his ex-wife, the same ex-wife that he invited to Shangy's inauguration party.
Oh, what a tangled web we've weaved.
And she's going to be so mad that she didn't get that call.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, it's a Monday. We just got out of a warm weather weekend all through Southern California, which means the criminals came out. So, Randy, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, the first edition of the blotter is something we've seen many times before. A street takeover leads to looting.
I feel like this is the fourth or fifth Monday in a row where the Crime Blotter has the same damn story. Looting after a street takeover in South L.A. It happens over and over and over again.
If they keep this up, there's going to be no place to get a Slurpee left in that part of town.
For more, here's Fox 11.
A growing trend of street takeovers leading to stores being looted. Just last night, two stores, one in Compton, another in South LA, broken into by thieves. This comes just a day after an AutoZone was looted in South LA after another takeover.
Another AutoZone?
Now, I wonder what AutoZone did to offend them, because you never hear about them looting a Pep Boys.
Fox 11's Gina Silva joins us now live with reaction from the community. Gina.
Well, Susan, street takeovers used to be all about the stunts and showing off, but lately they're becoming far more damaging for businesses.
I don't think they were ever about stunts and showing off. I think they were always about lawlessness.
And when you get a crowd that's big enough, you know the cops are just going to wait until you're done and then show up and take a report.
Certain people are taking the opportunity to just, take what they shouldn't,
You're looking at the aftermath of a street takeover that spiraled into looting. Sneakers and merchandise litter the ground, surrounded by torn boxes and shattered glass. Thousands of dollars in goods were stolen from the warehouse shoe sale store at Wilmington Avenue and Del Amo Boulevard.
It's hard for a business to recuperate after that because it's like they see these things happening and it's like no one's here to help them.
It wasn't the only business targeted in the early morning hours.
They got all their mail in there. I think they're cooked. And so who knows how much they took.
Well, and the cops are in a horrible position here. Because if the cops come in with a heavy hand and shut down the street takeover, the parents and the community activists are going to go after the cops and say, it's just a bunch of kids having fun, and the cops came in and treated them like they were common criminals. It's an abuse of power.
Well, and there's a whole other layer to this as well. We know that it's mostly rowdy-ass kids and teenagers that are doing this, and because there is so much pressure to depopulate the juvenile facilities that the county is in charge of, that Rob Bonta wants to put into a receivership, they're trying to do everything possible to not put more people in there, including completely ignoring blatant crime like this.
And everyone knows it, including the criminals.
Edgar Retana showed up at the Metro by T-Mobile store at South Figueroa and Slauson.
They don't call it Metro PCS anymore?
Apparently not.
Hoping to set up a phone plan, only to find the doors locked. The store was shut down after burglars broke in early this morning.
What are they going to steal? Some shoddy second-rate cell phones?
At this point, they're being destructive just to be destructive.
Because they can. Because there's no consequences. We do this story every week, and how often do you hear about arrests or prosecutions? They don't happen.
Not in L.A. County.
Very inconvenient since I was trying to go in.
Sheriff's deputies tracked down 3 suspected looters after discovering a stolen package from the WSS store. Contained a GPS tracker. All 3 were taken into custody.
Wait a second. So the stores know that they're going to get robbed constantly, so they're putting air tags inside their merchandise?
That is quite a move.
I mean, it worked. That's the first time we've heard in months that any arrests have ever been made in these stories, and it's because the guy working at WSS knew someone was going to take those Jordans.
Didn't we do this story at some point in the past, and they had a GPS tracker on whatever item it was that was stolen, and within something like 24 hours, it was already in Vietnam?
Yeah, that was a laptop, and a guy specifically put air tags on it. He was tracking it to a known warehouse for stolen goods that SFPD knew about in San Francisco, but for some reason, they didn't want to do anything about it. And 24 hours later, it was in Vietnam.
Sounds about right.
And 2 vehicles were...
But I don't even think they're shipping these shoes overseas. They go to one of 2 places. They're either going to MacArthur Park or they're going on Amazon.
And MacArthur Park is basically Amazon if Amazon was a place.
Okay, a third one, eBay. I forgot about eBay.
Thanks, Meg Whitman.
And 2 vehicles were towed from the scene.
Don't you just automatically assume now that almost everything posted on eBay is gotten through some underhanded means?
Probably. It used to be for Beanie Babies.
Fed up, Angelenos say something has to change.
Well, you had a chance to not reelect Holly Mitchell.
We had a chance to not reelect Gavin Newsom. We had a chance to not vote in Rob Bonta.
We did get rid of Gascon. They get a little credit for that.
You know, I just thought of something. The collective wisdom of the electorate is basically right up there with those women who got murdered during the conjugal visit.
How do you figure that?
Well, look at our judgment.
We have knowingly, over and over again, said, yes, Holly Mitchell, represent us. Your brilliant ideas will lead us into the future.
What could go wrong?
Holly Mitchell is the one who put together a task force on street takeovers, and the number one thing the task force is working on, having Barbara Ferrer go to the schools with a slideshow to tell you how dangerous they are.
You know, Randy, not all superheroes wear capes.
Yeah. Thing has to change. They say too many street takeovers keep turning into looting sprees, and it's local businesses that are paying the price.
It's all over the city. It's everywhere. It's not just here. It's everywhere.
Do they have a fair plan for store insurance? Because none of these places are getting insured anymore.
They're going to need it.
So again, 3 suspects were arrested, but far too many are on the loose. If you know any information about these lootings that happened early in the morning, contact the LAPD or LA County Sheriff's Department. Susan?
And once again, this is a situation where a lot of times social media plays a role in getting people to a street takeover. And then also some people like to post their bad acting, too, their bad behavior. Do we know at this point whether or not that has turned up?
That always happens. They're constantly filming all of this because they don't care.
Talk about knowing you're bulletproof when you put the evidence that could be used to convict you if they decided to pursue it on social media for everyone, including the cops, to see.
We looked on social media. I couldn't find anything about these particular lootings, but you're right. I mean, they organize on social media, and that's how you get these large groups of people to show up at specific places. But they are getting a little bit more savvy, and they're doing it in private groups, and that way law enforcement doesn't, get information ahead of time.
Yeah.
If your teenager has WhatsApp, it's only for illegal activity.
If your teenager has WhatsApp, guess what? All of those snack food items they claim they purchased at 7-Eleven probably don't involve receipts.
Yeah, we're not the only ones that look on social media. Gina, thank you.
So there you go. Once again, and I'm sure next week we will again have a street takeover that led to looting in South L.A. It's the same story every week.
And, Randy, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy,
Questions?
And this edition is also a common addition to the blotter. It involves the burglary of yet another jewelry store.
This time in the Marina District in San Francisco, this is a jewelry store that has been burglarized 4 times in recent history, and the 4th one was the most destructive of all. For more, here is KTVU. Fox 2 in the Bay Area.
A San Francisco jewelry store has been targeted by thieves multiple times, including the most recent break-in just this week. Despite ongoing threats, the small business is determined to stay open amidst growing security concerns. New at 10, KTVU's Betty Yu joins us live in the studio with the story.
Christina, Amariware, which is located in the marina, has installed multiple security cameras and taken extra precautions, but it still hasn't been enough to stop thieves. The latest break-in this week.
At what point do you just start to look up the actuarial cost of column A, having to actually pay for insurance for the jewelry, which apparently is way too expensive for most stores, column B, hiring a 24/7 armed security guard?
Well, it doesn't matter if you have a 24/7 armed security guard if 20 people show up at the same time to rob you, which is what happened down in Anaheim last week. And you're 100% correct. This is basically an industry that everyone knows is uninsurable. Well, if you're uninsurable and the crooks are not letting up, they're coming in and robbing your places right and left, and the state won't shut it down, how are we going to be left with any jewelry stores in this state?
The latest break-in this week caused the most damage yet and resulted in the biggest loss of merchandise. Surveillance video captures the moment a thief smashes through the glass front door of Amariware, a boutique on Chestnut Street in the marina. Within seconds, the metal gate is broken. The thieves rush inside, one heading straight for the back shelves. He's seen swiping items off the counter before slipping under the damaged gate.
They broke the glass door and the gate. This is broken. There were a lot of shattered glasses, broken glasses on the floor that I had to clean up.
You know, at this point, you might as well get that fake glass that they use in the movies that's made of sugar because it's a lot cheaper and a lot less difficult to clean up.
And just don't even bother with the safes anymore because they all get broken into.
Broken glasses on the floor that I had to clean up. It was devastating.
The latest break-in happened early Thursday morning, marking the 4th time the store has been hit in the past 2 months.
You know, most pieces of jewelry have some kind of metal on them. Couldn't we devise a system where you don't put anything inside the safe, but you have all of the jewelry under high voltage when you lock the doors? So if they try to touch it, they shock themselves with 10,000 volts.
Oh, then it'll be like those 2 women who died during the conjugal visits, and they'll be suing, the families will be suing the jewelry store.
Unlike the other thefts, which occurred during business hours, this was an overnight burglary. Previous cases include a thief casually pocketing earrings in early June and another man stealing a pair just days later.
When word gets out real quick among the criminals that, hey, this is the place to go.
Especially on social media.
When confronted, the thief denies taking anything.
Most of our pieces are designed and made in San Francisco and New York.
The store manager says during one incident, 3 men came into the store pretending to browse. One of them discreetly swiped jewelry from the display case.
It's a big loss. It makes you think, do I keep the business open or do I just give up? Because it's been, recurring. I don't feel safe.
You could move to a different state.
I think that's what most of them are going to end up doing.
Jewelry's just not going to be a California thing for much longer.
This is not a nationwide problem. You go to other states and you watch the local news and they're not talking about this. But here we could do some version of this in the blotter every single day.
You know, you get off the port at San Juan in Puerto Rico, and the first thing you see is this entire district full of jewelry stores. They don't see anything like that there.
No, they don't.
Sure, we have cameras.
And you can walk around with a pina colada while you buy jewelry in San Juan.
It's like Mardi Gras.
Sure, we have cameras, but that's after the fact.
Today, plywood covers the front door. Amariware says it does not plan to lock all of its jewelry behind cases.
At some point, it's just going to be, forget it, I'm not putting in glass, let's just stick with the wood.
How could you not put it behind cases? For heaven's sake, Rite Aid puts shampoo behind cases.
And we know what they lock up at Target.
How ghetto does it look that they have to lock up the socks?
For some reason, when they're locked, customers will just look at it and then they leave. You know, they want to be able to touch it and try it on.
SFPD.
And steal it.
Well, that's just a certain segment of their customer base.
SFPD data shows larceny theft is down more than 35% this year in the Northern District, which includes the Marina. Burglaries are down nearly 20%.
It's sad because this is one of the safest neighborhoods in San Francisco.
I just think it's horrible that they have to fight to keep their property when they're just trying to make a living.
The store manager told me she would like to see more police presence on the ground in the neighborhood. Amariware also says it plans to install more cameras, reinforce the gate, and secure more of their fine jewelry behind locked displays. Christina?
Betty, you live in studio tonight for us. Betty, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's going to work.
No. And here's the problem. Even though that particular neighborhood is safe, criminals are very mobile. It's part of the reason why communities fight public transit tooth and nail when they try to put public transit into a neighborhood, especially if you're in one of those end-of-the-line cities. The easier you make it for people to get in and out of your neighborhood, the easier you make it for crooks to get in, take what they need, and get out. Well, fresh off of allowing State Farm the ability to raise your insurance rates across the board, California's insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, has made yet another move that will result in insurance premiums going up.
I'm very kind of sketched.
By the way, have you noticed that none of these moves have actually brought any of the insurance companies back to the market?
Well, just keep waiting, Randy, because I'm sure that's going to happen real soon.
Ricardo Lara announced that he is going forward with allowing insurance companies to use their own proprietary disaster modeling to predict that the entire state is going to burn down and you need to pay them a lot of money.
People frequently make the wrong decision that corporations are conservative because they're about capitalism and making money. Well, that would be a mistake. Corporations are not ideological. They are about making money, but in terms of promoting a specific political philosophy, that's not what they do. If they benefit from getting in bed with the alarmist climate change crowd, they'll do that. And that's what the insurance companies want. If they can produce models that say that the world is going to come to an end in 8 years due to climate change, they can charge you through the nose. So guess what? They're going to sign up to whatever Greta Thunberg has to say because it benefits them.
For more, here is CBS 8 in San Diego.
New move in how insurance companies can set their rates could mean higher premiums for homeowners and renters. California will now allow these companies to use so-called catastrophe modeling.
And they can't actually show us how it works.
Of course not.
CBS 8's Richard Allen is here to explain how this works. Richard?
Well, Carlo, that's right. Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is calling this his sustainable insurance strategy to convince insurance companies to remain here in California and continue writing new policies, even in high-risk wildfire areas.
They're not even writing new policies in low-risk wildfire areas. Johnny, what did we find out this year? We found out that a majority of the FAIR Plan policies are written in low wildfire risk zones. Wildfire risk has nothing to do with it.
I was talking to my brother a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he has been dropped by, I think, 3 or 4 different insurance companies for his homeowner's insurance. And he was dropped by 3 or 4 different companies for his small business insurance that were separate policies People are getting dropped in the state of California right and left.
All over the state, people are losing their insurance.
After years of devastating wildfires, including the Los Angeles wildfires in January, more and more insurance companies are opting to pull out of California altogether, leaving homeowners scrambling to find coverage. The approval of the state's first ever wildfire catastrophe model could ultimately mean that more policies are written.
Insurers are using these models all over the country in every other state.
These forward
and using it to justify tripling of insurance rates, like in Florida.
Yes, this is an excuse to raise rates through the roof. That's what they want.
These forward-looking computer-created catastrophe models take into account historical wildfire data, climate trends, engineering research, and mitigation efforts to come up with a more...
Because, of course, as we know, back going to the COVID days, how accurate modeling is.
Well, and let's also understand that so many of these problems are man-made. If we elect a different government with a different attitude that does things like, I don't know, bus up the homeless encampments or regulates the public utilities properly so that they're forced to fix their faulty equipment and put certain power lines in high-prone wind areas underground, and we do things like clear brush, then the fire risk that the state is currently threatened with will change. That is something that can be done with the snap of a finger. We choose not to do it, but maybe, hopefully, at some point, we'll get our act together and we will prioritize reducing our risk.
To come up with a more accurate assessment of wildfire risk to help insurance companies determine how much to charge customers.
Insurers have made a very strong case that they needed to be able to use catastrophe models as a consumer.
And they used that. They made that very strong case while entertaining Ricardo Lara to a fancy weekend in Bermuda,
among other hotspots.
As a consumer advocate, we are worried that those models will cause people's rates to go higher.
Amy Bach of the nonprofit United Policyholder says that while it's possible the use of catastrophe models could help stabilize rates in the long run, premiums could potentially rise in the short term.
We're going to see rates go up no matter what, my friend. We're in a new era here with these severe convective storms and wildfires in January. And it's just that inconvenient truth.
The whole concept of insurance is going out the window.
Yeah, I wonder what is going to happen if all of these companies end up pulling out of California, because insurance companies are not like utilities, where utilities have to be here. It's not like you can pick up your equipment and go to Nevada and just start selling there. With insurance companies, if they determine that the risk is too great in California and they're not making any money here, they're all going to pull out of the market. Could we end up with a situation where we're all on the FAIR plan?
But the FAIR plan isn't a government plan. The FAIR plan is a consortium of those same insurance companies.
That's true. So maybe the state of California will be the one selling us an insurance policy if they're the only ones dumb enough to do it.
And it's just that inconvenient truth that it costs money. Climate change has a price tag.
Oh, boy.
She's one of them, huh?
Under the insurance commissioner's plan, insurance companies that use these catastrophe models will be required to write more policies in wildfire-distressed areas.
Okay, two things with that. One, thanks to the incredible reporting at ABC7 in the Bay Area, they discovered that the fine print of Ricardo Lara's policy is they have to write 5% more policies in the wildfire-prone areas. But again, this does nothing for the fact that so many policies from State Farm and what have you have been dropped in the low-risk areas where the only option is to go on the FAIR plan.
Well, and let's also go back to the climate change argument here, too. Because if the problem is us, if the problem is we're not busting up the homeless encampments, we're not clearing the brush, we're not regulating the utilities, then that can be fixed. It's a problem made by man that can be fixed by man. But if the problem is climate change and it's something that's just baked into the cake globally, then there's nothing that can be done proactively to reduce the rate increases. then rate increases are just like the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. It's just part of what happens in the world. And that is, of course, what the insurance companies want. They want carte blanche ability to raise those rates as high as they can.
But you see what's already happening, as we've covered extensively, with the jewelry industry, where insurance is so expensive, so many jewelers don't have it. You can see a situation where these rates get to a point where people cannot afford it, and that means that they can't afford a mortgage because in many cases, in almost every case, you need home insurance in order to get a bank-backed mortgage. This could be an even bigger crisis going forward if this isn't affordable.
Well, I would love to know what people are doing who own their homes outright, because there's a lot of people who are retirement age, basically, who have owned their homes for a long period of time. They paid off their homes after paying the bill every month for 25 years, and now they're having a very difficult time finding insurance to buy. Well, if you own your home and the only plan you can buy is the FAIR plan, I don't think I would buy any kind of insurance at all, would you?
There are a lot of people, especially in the Central Valley, who are doing it just that. If you do own your home outright, you can just say, screw it, I'm going without insurance.
And could no longer cherry pick only the safest neighborhoods. In a statement, Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara said, quote,
I like that they call him Lara.
In a statement, Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara said, quote, this closes one of the biggest coverage gaps across the state.
No, it doesn't.
He's acting like he's doing us a favor, huh?
Everything that he has done, bending over backwards to give the insurance industry everything they've been wanting for decades in this state, has not resulted in more policies getting written and the rate stabilizing, as much as Ricardo Lara loves to say. And remember what he said? He was working on this plan for 2 years. Oh, by 2025, rates are going to stabilize. Now it's 2025. Oh, by 2026, rates are going to stabilize. Sure.
No, not only are they going up for businesses and homeowners, it's going up like crazy for auto insurance, too. I think they're trying to make up what they're losing on homeowners insurance by raising other types of insurance.
Under existing regulations, insurers have raised rates without guaranteeing coverage or committing to Californians, causing distress for homeowners.
And you approved all those rate hikes.
Every single one of them.
That ends now.
This is a solution that we're going to try, but we will be, of course, watching out for consumers all the way.
And keep in mind, these wildfire catastrophe models have existed for more than 20 years, and every other state but California already allows insurance companies to set rates using this modeling. But California would be the only state where insurance companies will have to commit to writing more policies in these higher risk areas.
5%.
Yes. If they commit to writing a pittance of policies, does it really matter?
It doesn't.
Under this new plan.
So there's the latest with Ricardo Lara's brilliant plans to stabilize our insurance market that have resulted in more and more people going on the FAIR plan.
I've got to tell you, I don't even live in a fire zone, but every time I get a renewal bill in the mail, I praise the Lord because I just assume they're going to drop me. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Oh, boy, this is an awesome one right here. 790 KABC welcomes the Gypsy Kings, featuring Nicholas Reyes at the Greek Theater on August 9th. Oh, I wish I was in town for that. That sounds like a good time. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Nederlander Concerts. Good luck dialing.
Let's go to Dawn in Monte Rio. Dawn, hello.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Schultz. I'm calling. I've been listening to the show. Now it's about insurance, but I would say it's the administration that was chosen. We have an issue with climate change that is not only being ignored, but it's being superseded past the ability to recover. We only have a short amount of time, and I think they just want to get past that buoy to where it's not a fixable thing, and there goes the planet.
Okay, so you believe that climate change is destroying the state, and we are basically past the point of no return.
I didn't say we're past, but we're right on the cusp of it.
Now, that's basically what the insurance companies believe. The insurance companies buy into that theory because that way they can use that to jack up the insurance rates, because if we're just going to be hit by hurricanes and we're going to be hit by drought and we're going to be hit by fires that we just have no control over, then why limit their ability to raise rates?
Well, it's not just a theory, Mr. Phillips. It's fact. If you look at graphs, which will blow just about anybody away if you look at the graphs. And as for science, well, we're swerving away from any science. We just can't go on speculature,
Well, these graphs are frequently wrong. I mean, you can go back and find video of Al Gore and others saying that the world was basically going to come to an end in 8 or 11 years. I forget which year it was, if we didn't do what he wanted us to do regarding climate change. And, here we are, many moons beyond that, and we're still here. So whatever modeling he was using was very wrong.
Well, there we can disagree. Just about with anything, if you look at facts and you look at graphs, and you can see the progression. It's just mind blowing that when Democrats are in power, they're in for 2 years, and then the Republicans, through Wise and everything else, they come in and they take the country after 2 years because they have the power of the purse. The party of no. And
wait, we live in California where Democrats control everything. They can do any climate change policy they want. Republicans have no say. They have a supermajority.
Well, climate change can't be. There's no recovery with climate change, Mr. Phillips. If you have somebody, if you have a party in power that swerves away from dealing with climate change, I mean, we're right at the cusp of any recovery.
Okay.
And
let's just say that you guys got everything you wanted at the federal level, and nothing changed. Wouldn't the argument be then, well, we don't control what goes on in Russia, and we don't control what goes on in China or India, and they need to get on board and do exactly what we say too, or the world's going to come to an end?
Well, the world will come to an end. You can just base that on science. But when you go away from science, when Democrats are in power, we do great. We do great for 2 years. But through the lies about the death, remember the death panels in 2010 and the party of no. Well, we didn't lose 1 million people. When we had our struggle.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I did not go to school to study hard sciences. I went to graduate school to study political science, and I can tell you this. Anytime one of the graduate students would come up with some kind of modeling to predict what was going to happen in the future, the modeling was almost always wrong. The only question was, how wrong was it? And I fear it's the same thing when it comes to climate change.